Hello YouTube world, my name is Nicholas Montez and you're watching my YouTube channel, The Teenage Movie Critic, and hello everybody. Today we're, sorry about my voice, today we're doing, the end of month list for not January, we're way past that. We're doing the end of month list for July of 2025, and, I know this is a little late. It's because, I didn't make the list both on the tier list and the on Letterboxd, so I didn't really have a ranking prepared for Thursday, so you're getting the ranking now. Because basically one list is longer than the other, I'm just gonna do both of them in one big video. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Well, let me turn this thing around. Oh wait, actually, really quick, if you're wondering why I don't do anything for the first 6 seconds of the video, it's because I want to wait until I can, because the timer of how long the stream is like right over here from where my hand is at, and then it comes over here, the middle, and then all this stuff for the rear view, and then the muting of the mic, turning off the camera, it all comes on. So yeah, that's basically it. So without further ado, let's go and get started talking about July 2025 movies. And we're gonna start off this list with the 2025 movies, and we're gonna kick things off. Sorry, let me try to figure this out real quick. Alright, I think that works. Alright, so first up we have The Old Guard. I actually just saw this on Saturday, I think. Or actually, no, on Sunday. No, yeah, last Sunday. Well, actually it was kind of a lie, because I actually watched it this past week, and it's kind of a film I missed. I remember it was a film that's been so long in the production of coming out, and then it just kept getting delayed, and then honestly, I wasn't all into the first one that came out back in 2020. So I didn't really have too much excitement going into this one, and much like it's at least a better action movie than the first film was. So that's all I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna give this one a D. Just because there was some solid action, but it's like I barely cared about this movie. We then have Heads of State. This was a fun little action movie starring Idris Elba and John Cena. It's fun. You know, I remember seeing a clip from the movie on TikTok, and it looked fun. And I also kept seeing news footage. I kept seeing trailers from it, and I'm like, oh, this looks like a fun movie that I'd probably like, and I did. It's not the best, but I'm going to put this one in the C tier. We then have the new Jurassic World movie, Jurassic World Rebirth. I thought this movie was fine. You know, I'm not crazy about the Jurassic Park movies or anything like that. I thought the cast was used pretty well. A lot of people were kind of annoyed by the family and this family of people with the girl and her boyfriend, and I wasn't really irritated by it. I thought it was kind of a solid part of the film. The fact that the little girl kind of adopted this baby dinosaur, Dolores, I thought that was kind of fun. Besides that, and then I think some of the mutant dinosaurs and kind of seeing all these different versions of dinosaurs was kind of cool. Besides that, I didn't really get much from it. I liked it. I thought it was a pretty beautiful movie. And I definitely liked the score in here, too. And it kind of does make me want to rewatch some of the Jurassic Park movies. So, I'm going to put this one in the B category. Alright, next up we have, technically, I'm saving Happy Gilmore 2 for last because it's not known to be the best movie, but whatever. We have our super fantastic summer movies with Superman and Fantastic Four. these to me were the top movies of the summer. These were the movies that were the big events. I mean, I know we had I Know What You Did Last Summer, Jurassic World, F1, but for me, Superman and Fantastic Four were like the most anticipated films of the summer. And as for with Superman, I think that this was a great introduction, great start to the DCU. I really liked David Corenswet as Superman. I liked Lex Luthor. I liked how the colorful this film is. I liked the score. I liked James Gunn's portrayal of Superman. There's a lot of cool things. And I'm excited to see where the rest of this universe goes. Will it go well or will it go not well? Other than that, I am still excited for it. I'm going to put this one in A. And then we have Fantastic Four First Steps. If you guys know me, I was a little nervous on this film going into it. Obviously, before I heard the great news for it. Because it's great to know that there was going to be a Fantastic Four movie in the MCU. But the thing is, it's like, what does a Fantastic Four movie look like? Because, like, it's just another superhero team in New York. Like the X-Men, the Avengers, and Spider-Man, and Daredevil. Lots of heroes in New York. But what made this movie so unique is that it didn't take place in our main timeline, and so all those other heroes you didn't really need to worry about. And then it also took place, and then the New York itself was also kind of different, to where it was retro-futuristic and all that stuff, and every single detail was just really interesting of the whole world. And even beyond just the world building, the characters themselves all were casted perfectly, especially Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards and Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm. I thought they were excellently casted. Now that I think about it, they were perfect. Joseph Quinn as Human Torch was great. Bon Moss-Bachrach was great as the Thing. And Galactus was incredible. The sci-fi elements in here were really well done. And I'm not typically a fan of sci-fi unless it's done good. Kind of like horror. I usually like horror done good. I usually like horror when it's done good. So that's kind of my thing. Overall, it was just a really good movie, but also just a great MCU movie. So I'm putting this one in the A tier. And then finally we have Happy Gilmore 2, and I enjoyed the movie for what it was. All I heard about it was just cameo fest. Cameo after cameo after cameo, and it was fun. I'm putting this one in C. Can't really say much more than that, but yeah. Alright, now we're going to get into the big behemoth of movies that I saw this month with the first time watches. Yeah, so this past month, hold on, let me refresh this because I don't know why it keeps pulling that thing up. This past month, I have seen over 88 first-time watches. I know that sounds crazy. Half of it I was in summer school, half of it and then for a day or so, I went up to Daytona Beach, plus drove an hour and a half to Orlando, and then woke up early the next day to go to Disney World, then drove home that same day, and then I also had some summertime for 2.5 weeks. So, some of these I kind of just played in the background, but some of them I actually do have genuine feelings on. So, we'll start off with a Naked Gun movie. I'm going to be perfectly honest. Every time we get to a Naked Gun movie on here, I'm putting in the F. Because I just could not get with this movie. Now, granted, I think the Naked Gun movie with Liam Neeson does look kind of entertaining. Because Liam Neeson is known for playing this serious role, and in some ways that the fact that it's using it as a joke is kind of funny. But I could not connect with these Naked Gun movies, man. These were not good movies for me. I'm putting this one in F. We then have The Mummy 3. Thought it was fine. To be honest, the only Mummy movie I ever connected with, the only reason I watched the Mummy movies in the first place this month was David Corenswet kind of reminded me of a young Brendan Fraser. So, and I also haven't checked out the Mummy movies yet, so why not? And the Mummy movies, they're fine. I'll put this one in D. It's actually no C because it's a very action-packed film. Final Destination, I'm pretty sure this is the first one. I don't really think it matters. I really only like the fifth one and the new one that just came out. So I'm going to put this one in the D category. Absolute Dominion. Pretty cool martial arts movie. Final Destination 2, you guessed it, D tier. Final Destination 3, D tier. And this is The Scorpion King, C. Alright, now we have Megan 2. This is one I actually can talk about, because I was actually very excited for this one. Like, you know, I liked the first Megan, not by a lot, but it was an entertaining movie. And then they announced, and then they put out the trailer for Megan, and I'm like, for Megan 2, and I'm like, oh, so this is going to be like the Terminator, and it's going to be action-packed, and Megan's going to be a good guy, but she's going to be having such pizzazz in her personality. And there's definitely some parts where the action is good. There's definitely some parts where Megan has charisma and her charm. But overall, the plot felt very messy. The scene where she is singing, I definitely was laughing. But honestly, if I'm gonna be honest, this is a movie that when I watched it, I was kind of falling asleep, to where I was actually kind of bored. And I don't know if it was because I came from summer school that day or something like that, but like this movie was kind of boring me. And granted, I don't like to admit that I fall asleep to things that are boring, but I kind of was trying to enjoy, but maybe it wasn't keeping me entertained enough. I don't know. By the same time, this movie was just kind of stupid. Honestly, the more I think about it, the more I less like it. I'm gonna put this one in F, unfortunately. We then have Final Destination. Oh, I believe this is the first one. I'm gonna put this one in D. So actually, I'm gonna put this one in C then, top of C. Night Call, because I believe this was the fifth one. Then Night Call. Solid action movie. Romeo and Juliet. Oh yeah, this was terrible. This was absolutely terrible. The Specials. Yeah, no. And I know what you're thinking. Well, why was this month so bad for movies? Trust me, we're gonna get to the good movies in a bit. Hang on. Naked Gun movie. Yeah, not so good. Steel. Technically, I believe this is like a Superman movie, but not really. So, yeah. Naked Gun 3. Yeah. And then Don't Mess with Grandma. Screamboat. So this was actually the Mickey Mouse horror movie where the Steamboat Willie version of Mickey Mouse is now public domain. So basically, people get to do whatever they want with him. And I thought the movie was pretty cool. You know, in some cases, I kind of feel like, surprisingly, some of these public domain movies are kind of good. And this is kind of a good one. Now, it's not like the best thing ever, but it's going to go in the top of C. Or actually, yeah, it's going to go here. Alright, now we have Kill Bill. So, if you guys... Alright, so we're now going to start getting into some movies that I was a huge fan of. And Kill Bill, spoiler alert, is actually my favorite movie of the month. If you can't tell. If you saw my letterbox, I haven't really talked about it with anyone, really besides one of my family members, but this movie was honestly one of the best movies I've ever seen in a long time, because... If you guys don't know, I've been trying, so this month was Classic Cinema Month for my movie watching, and, you know, I obviously did watch a lot of good movies, but I was also trying to look for a movie of, like, what's a classic cinema movie that I will hold against everything else? You know, in May, the films that I loved more than everything else was, like, Superman and Hustlers. June didn't have any movies like that. Maybe Ballerina, but that's a new release, so I don't know if that really counts for me. But And there were definitely some films I liked. I liked The Princess Bride, which we'll talk about later. I liked I did like Mary Poppins, but not as much as other people. Kill Bill was like that first movie where, and keep in mind, I watched this back on Thursday, or actually on Wednesday, and I was just so like great. I was so obsessed with it to where, of course, I knew what the movie was. I knew it was an action movie directed by Quentin Tarantino, but I didn't really know what to expect from it. You know, like it's basically like Ballerina, where it's a revenge film. And first off, just the action in this movie is just so well shot. But there's all these incredible ways to where it's not just like girl fighting. There's actually like unique stuff that they do. They fight like girls, to where it's like and the way that the movements are, it feels like disorganized, but that's also in the way girls fight. And then at the same time, it's like the way they kind of use black and white stuff, and even from the music and the soundtrack, it's all awesome. There's even a scene where they're telling a backstory on an assassin, and so it goes into like full anime mode. And I'm like, I'm not a typical fan of anime, but I'm like, what are we doing here? And it like lasts for like what 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I'm like, this is insane. And it made for such a masterful film to where Uma Thurman's performance is incredible, to where you buy her as this person who just got shot in the head, just was put in a coma. And she is like, she can't really move her legs, so she's spending like hours trying to move each of her toes. And they spend this one shot of trying to move her big toe, and then she finally moves it, and then she gets onto the other toes, and then she finally can walk. I'm like, this is incredible. This is my kind of movie. I loved this, and this is easily my favorite Quentin Tarantino movie. I don't think any other movie can possibly be better than this. Next up, we have Boyhood. Now, this was one that I was kind of impressed by. I didn't really know what to expect from it, mainly because I never heard of it. But I heard it was a highly rated movie. And what was so interesting is that I from what I assumed, it's basically telling the story of this boy who has divorced parents, and the mom is going to school, making up her degree, but she also has other things going on, and you basically get to see this boy plus his siblings kind of grow up. And to be honest, I was thinking, the movie's pretty long. And I was expecting that maybe this is just going to be a solid road trip movie of exploring a father and their kids on road trips and how they connect of two parents being apart and how that works. If they did that for the whole film for 2 hours and 45 minutes or whatever, that probably wouldn't really work. But the fact that this movie had all these people grow up and change and develop, and I even heard something that the film was like shot over, I don't know, like many years, and you see, and basically while they're filming, the actors are growing up with the story as the story is progressing. And I'm like, that's such an impressive way to make a film for me. Like, that is so impressive, but it has all these iconic moments. All the performances are incredible. Ethan Hawke is really good in this movie. And also, keep in mind, it's actually crazy because I'm watching something of the Hawke family this year. I'm watching Boyhood and I'm watching Ethan Hawke in Boyhood, Uma Thurman in Kill Bill, and then later this year we're getting Stranger Things Season 5 with Maya Hawke. And the thing is, I didn't realize that Maya Hawke is the son or the daughter of Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman. I didn't know that. You learn something new every day. But Boyhood was an exceptional experience, and I personally just loved it. So, definitely one of the biggest recommends I recommend you guys go watch. Next up, we have Warfare. So this was from the director of Civil War from last year, Alex Garland. And basically the idea of this movie is, the last 10 minutes of Civil War, if you ever watched it, it's basically that, but for the entire movie for an hour and 35 minutes. And honestly, I think this movie really worked to where I will say there's times where it does get a little bit boring, because for the first half, you kind of have these soldiers basically like just, it's very quiet, it's very subtle, and there's not like a lot of moving parts. They're basically just in this one place, and they're just trying to keep a watch out for any like invaders or bad guys. But there's like these scenes where they have to go into action, and some of these soldiers are brutally like hurt in the legs, and it's a pretty exhausting experience. Not exhausting in like in watching it. I'm talking about like exhausting in, wow, like I feel tired in the way they're feeling tired of having to keep it together and having to keep breathing while their legs are literally bleeding out blood. But the performances were great. Every single texture of dust and gunshots were really well used. And even when a grenade flew in through the window, it felt interesting. So, yeah, I'm going to put this one in A tier as well. Very unique experience, and one of my favorite films of 2025. I'm so mad I missed it in theaters. Then we have Minecraft movie. Alright, so this might shock some of you, because I know that this is probably the most hated movie of 2025. I'll be honest, I loved this movie. I love this movie, and I don't care what y'all say. This movie was absolute cinema. Now, okay, that's probably over-exaggerating, but to be honest, I kind of fucked with this movie. Like, I know that, like, the characters in the normal world, they don't really have enough time to develop, and the way that their story is kind of done is kind of dumb. But I feel like once you get to the Minecraft world, the movie becomes subtly interesting to where, and it could just be me because I like big action blockbusters, but like, there's some action scenes in here that are actually kind of cool. Jack Black is kind of servicing like a pretty cool like action hero. Like, you actually get to see him like punch zombies and stuff and make weapons and make fun weapons. And it's like almost reminded me of like classic Jack Black. But at the same time, I also don't know if that's like, if this is what a Minecraft movie, if anyone would have thought of it. Do I still think that the movie should have been animated? Probably. I still think it should have been given the Mario template. But I think overall, this was just a blast. And it also probably meant a lot to me because Jack Black really reminds me a lot of my English teacher from this past school year. Both in his voice, his body shape, and just his charisma. So yeah, this was a top tier movie for me. I loved Minecraft movie. We then have K-pop Demon Hunters, another movie. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. There's gonna be a lot of movies on here that I was very interested in. K-pop Demon Hunters was kind of debating on whether to watch this movie for a while because it came out the same day Pixar dropped their next movie, Elio. I didn't see Elio until this week, which we'll talk about in a minute. But with K-pop Demon Hunters, you know, I didn't really know what to think about it going into it, just because, you know, I'm not a K-pop fan. I don't, like, there's two types of people in the real world. You have people that listen to rap, or you have people that listen to K-pop. That's literally my whole school. People listen to K-pop or rap. And I mean, I listen to rap sometimes, but I never listen to K-pop. And there's definitely some songs that, like, there's lines in here that are K-pop, you know, Korean lyrics. But honestly, this movie is once again another, and the fact that it's also done by Sony Animation, it's another just great example of doing great animation, a great story, but also mixing something that was different to where it was kind of like a movie perfectly designed for me. So we're basically, hey Nick, you know nothing about K-pop, huh? All right, so we're gonna show you a movie that's basically of showing us what those K-pop fans see when they're listening to K-pop music and K-pop artists and, you know, watching anime. And that's basically what you got here. Now, has this movie convinced me to go watch anime or listen to K-pop? No, I'm not doing that. But The music in here was incredible. Our three main leads here with the K-pop singers in here, they were really cool. The animation overall was really well done, and the demon characters was pretty solid. This was one I guess really dug. The question is it a B or an A tier? I gave this a solid A. It's definitely one of my favorite movies of the year, because of how unique it is. I'm gonna put this one. I'm gonna put this one in. I'm gonna put this one in A, mainly because I know there's gonna be other movies that are going in B, so I'll save it. Kill Bill 2. I love Kill Bill 2. I think it's great. I think it's on par with the first one, but I kind of feel like the first one is a bit better, mainly because there's so much. Like, yeah, Kill Bill 2 is a little bit longer. It's 2 hours and 16 minutes. But Kill Bill 1, like, it's able to be so experimental, and it's only an hour and 50 minutes. With Kill Bill 2, it's kind of like it's more talky and less actiony, stylized stuff. And I liked learning more about Bill and getting more revenge on that on that eye patch lady. But still, I still thought it was an incredible experience. But I'm going to put this in B for now. Then we have Casino. Once again, this is basically like Goodfellas and Hustlers, but in a casino with Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci. And Joe Pesci's accent in here and his voice, it's pretty... How do you describe it? It's pretty funny. Funny how? Funny like I'm a clown? I amuse you? I make you laugh? Funny how? No, I'm just playing. I'm going to put this one in A as well. I don't really know what else to really say about it. I mean, it's a almost 3-hour drama in a casino. That's just how great it is. The Monkey. The Monkey was a film I was very shocked by, because I didn't really know what to expect from it. Because, like, you know, I heard it was like a very good horror comedy, but honestly, I didn't really find the movie funny. But I thought it was still a great horror movie. Like, the idea of, you know, you have all these killer doll movies. What if you had the monkey? The monkey that similarly looks like the monkey from Toy Story 3 be a horror icon. That's awesome. And the way the monkey is moving, it's creepy. But also the backstory of these brothers was really interesting. So, I found this movie to be quite a blast for me. Question is, I'm going to put this one... I'll put it at the bottom, though. Drop, this was another movie that I honestly loved every minute of it. To where basically it's like, you have this girl that's on a date, and basically she keeps getting these airdrops from people. And, it's very thrilling to where you kind of see this relationship keep going on, but also you wonder who the bad guy is. It was a little bit unexpected when the ending was basically the guy getting shot, and it's like, you build all that tension to just have that big, like, I guess, thrilling action finale or whatever. That wasn't something I wasn't expecting, but I'll put this one in A. Singing in the Rain. Oh boy, Singing in the Rain. Singing in the Rain was a very fun watch for me. I very much enjoyed myself with this movie. Like, I think what I just really enjoyed about it was that it was the perfect story of showing the story of how were actors and the movie industry doing when they switched from talkies, when they switched from silent films to talkies. And it was a very interesting thing to where it's like, you know, when they're filming scenes, they have to use microphones, and they actually have to act. Sometimes they have to sing, and some people are actually bad at it, and sometimes people are actually bad at all of it. And it was a very interesting approach, but at the same time, it has really good performances, some really good songs. It's a very colorful movie, very well shot. There's even, like, this one character that I really liked in the movie that, like, had a lot of pizzazz, and, like, he was also a very good dancer, but also very funny at times. I don't remember his name, but he was really good. Not Gene Hackman. No, not Gene Hackman. That's from Superman. Overall, and then, of course, sing. And if you think the singing in the rain part is the best part of the movie, you're honestly mistaken, because you got to watch the whole movie. It is a fantastic experience. Gonna put this one in the A tier as well. Novocaine. So this is a little bit like Drop, to where basically it's a guy that feels no pain when he is putting his hand in boiling water, or any type of pain that he would feel for that matter. It's a very complex love story movie, but it's also a pretty fun action movie. Pretty fun way to do an action movie. So I'll put this one in A. I know I'm putting mostly everything in like A right now, but it's only because that's how the list for me turned out. Don't worry, we'll get to some like B films. We have The Princess Bride, another film that I was just so lucky to see, and it turned out to be quite masterful. One thing I didn't notice is, I remember when I first watched Once Upon a Deadpool, and they were talking about how like the story template is like a Princess Bride, where basically Deadpool is telling the story of Deadpool 2 to Fred Savage. And I didn't realize that Fred Savage was an actor from The Princess Bride. But I also never watched The Princess Bride until now, so I was interested to see what this movie was all about. And this movie, it's comically very funny. It's hilarious. Some of the swordplay in here was really well done. Every single performance was done really well. The story was sharp. It really did have a little bit of everything. And if anything, that's why it was honestly one of my favorite movies. So I'm gonna put this one in the A tier. Also, this movie came out like what? 8-10 years, I don't know. A decade before the guy that played Huxley in Elmo and Grouchland to play the swords guy that wanted revenge on the guy that killed his father. But also, Inigo Montoya, who played Huxley. He played the principal in Wonder. The fact that he was able to play the swords guy was incredible, to where he was actually playing a guy you really liked. And then even in Wonder, he played a guy you really liked as well. Meet Me in St. Louis. And this might be one of the last few films. Don't worry, we're getting to some of the we're getting to the last of the A tier. Meet Me in St. Louis was another just brilliant experience from July. Basically, it reminded me a little bit of It's a Wonderful Life in a way, though I'm pretty sure this movie came out first. I believe so. But basically, it's like showing this family in like how they're doing in St. Louis, and honestly, you kind of see of how all these people are kind of perceiving of the dad's move, and how they're perceiving of like their crushes and their love interests. And also, but what also is incredibly does really well, besides that, it also does every single season really well. To where you do spring, you do fall with Halloween, and then you do winter with Christmas. And I thought that was just incredible, where the Christmas scene is honestly like one of the best parts of the movie, to where the dad is convinced that he should not move his family because they're going to miss it there. They're going to miss it here. I will say, I like the interesting template of this. I don't know why they left out summer to do a plotline in summer, because they literally just go back to spring in the end. So I'm not really sure what happened. So I'm still putting this in A tier though. Yeah, it's gonna go here. Nightcrawler, just another fantastic experience. I know I'm getting bored of myself of actually just giving all these movies like A. Trust me, we're not gonna be an A the whole time. Nightcrawler was an exceptional experience because it's basically a guy who wants to be a reporter. He wants to be able to record stuff for the news. And he finally does get in. But what makes it so shocking is the fact he'll go full lengths to get shots, even when it is risking someone's life and his own friend's life. And that's a pretty shocking experience. Granted, I will say, it does kind of bring some points down for me. I would put it in A because of how great that premise is, but it does kind of bog it down a little bit, because I kind of wish that it happened a little bit more in the movie once he got accepted early, or it spent time to develop it, and then like you basically get invested, And I kind of wish that, like, he was acclaimed for his actions. Like, he just gets away with it. Like, the ending of that kind of felt a little bit underwhelming. But I'm still going to give it a B, though. Still a very good experience. Taxi Driver. Taxi Driver was another brilliant movie. Okay, so yeah, I think we're getting into more of the movies that are going to be in B. Taxi Driver, I feel like it's a very good movie. Very well acted. Robert De Niro is great in this role. I liked it the way they bring in the political aspect to where he wants to try to kill a politician, but also saving a sex trafficker or something. I don't know. This movie was very good. For some reason, every time I kept hearing about it, everybody kept, like, when Joker movie was coming out, everybody was comparing Joker to Taxi Driver, and I see a lot of comparisons in there, and how it's like New York and stuff like that, but it seems like Taxi Driver does a lot more ideas, but Joker kind of does it a lot better in some ways. So I'm not exactly sure how to feel about it. I still thought it was very good, but I'm going to put this one in the B category. That's where I'm going to go with it. Then we have A Bronx Tale. Not a horror movie, a mafia gangster movie that I was interested in for quite some time. I thought it was a very interesting approach because you have Goodfellas, which is the mafia movie to... Actually, no, wait. Let's look at the last two mafia movies. You had The Godfather, which was showing the experience of what the mafia people go through, but also kind of a son raising up to be that. You then have Goodfellas, which a normal boy becomes part of the mafia and he learns, but he also gets invested into the process. And then you have A Bronx Tale, where a boy sees that growing up and he tries to join that, but you can also see that's not really the life that he should probably be doing. Obviously, for any of these people, they shouldn't be doing it in the first place. But in the way that it perceives in this movie, there's not, like, the way they perceive the mafia in here, it's of course very interesting, but it seems like a very interesting approach that I thought was interesting. I know I'm saying interesting so much, bear with me. But, like, I thought, Robert De Niro being this father and teaching him good, and even the way they designed this version of New York was kind of interesting in the 1960s. I will say there's a scene in the movie where, Corologero, or whatever you say his name, he like says the N-word to his girlfriend's brother, and then they meet back up in the night and they're completely fine. That kind of bogs it down a little bit. But also, I think Sonny, the Sonny character in here is very cool. And, you have the cat, the evil cat from Stuart Little, playing this mafia boss. And he's just a very cool villain. He's just a very cool mafia boss. And there's a lot of complexity to him. To where people, you can see how people fear him, but you can also see how he treats people. But you can also see that he doesn't trust anybody. And I really enjoyed all those aspects of the film. So I'm going to put this one in the B category. At the bottom, though, unfortunately. The Departed. This was a gangster movie that I was impressed with because it kind of took the genre on its own turfs. And what's also crazy is the fact that this is another mafia movie, another gangster movie, directed by Martin Scorsese. And I thought honestly the best thing when I was watching it is the cast in here is honestly remarkably great. Every single cast member in here is great. You literally have the two people that I kept thinking they were the same person, Matt Damon and Leonardo DiCaprio. You have two of those people. You then have Mark Wahlberg. You have Jack Nicholson coming off of Joker from Batman '89. Well, technically this was released 2 decades after Batman '89, but you then have Uncle Ben, from the Andrew Spider-Man universe. playing like a police officer. But I thought what was so inventive about this movie is instead of it being about, the gangsters and stuff like that, it's more about the cops, but also like it's like a mouse and cat type situation to where it's like they're trying to figure out someone is from the cops is pretending to be a gangster, and someone from the gangsters is pretending to be a cop, and it plays that really interestingly to where the ending was honestly kind of shocking, but it's like you kind of had a feeling at the beginning of it of where it was going to go. So I thought it was really well done, and I'm going to put this one in the B category. Mainly because there were parts that I was like, it was a little too long. But, Jack Nicholson was great in here. Especially that scene when he, tries to check Leonardo DiCaprio's, body. Even breaking his own hand cast. That's insane. The lengths that you want to go to check someone for mics and stuff or weapons. That's insane. Hold up, gotta get a drink of water. All right, we're kind of almost done with this list, but not barely. We then have Babylon. Babylon is a movie. And I mean that laugh in all seriousness. This movie was kind of, it did so much at the beginning to where it's like you had them trying to pull an elephant up a hill. And the elephant was getting so nervous that it was shitting on two people. And then you had this insane massive party that lasts a few nights. And you have all these crazy dance performances and stuff like that. Hold up. And it was it was so unique, but at the same time, one of the other things is this is another unique take on the Roaring '20s story, to where when it started getting into the filming of, how to make movies with sound, and people started going crazy, saying, "Shut the fuck up! If someone comes in and interrupts my program, I will shit in your mouth." And even going into this booth where it's really hot, the fact that people had to film movies back then with no AC because it's loud, I'm like, that it's pretty shocking, a lot. And then you have to do multiple retakes if you don't get it right or if something gets interrupted. I'm like, it's pretty impressive. But you also see of how some of these people come to pass and stuff. It's a very interesting movie. I'm gonna put this one in the B category. Birdman. Birdman was a very cool experience. Very, very cool experience. I thought Michael Keaton's performance was great. Edward Norton, Emma Stone, 3 Marvel actors, by the way. I also love the way that the film is shot. The fact that it's basically shot in one take. That is so genius to me. I really liked the story of how, was he like a superhero or something? I'm not exactly sure, but I'm going to put this one, put it at bottom of B. It was very, very good, but I also didn't really get the plot sometimes. Truman Show. Another really great film with starring Jim Carrey. Very, very well done. I'm going to put this one... I'm putting this one at the top. Probably I'm going to put this here. It's not my personal favorite, but I still really loved it. I love that it's a story about, Truman basically being this person that is seen by the entire world ever since birth, and he finally gets to escape. That was really interesting. The Great Gatsby. I'm going to be honest, I actually really loved this movie. I don't know if it's just I loved the colors and the way the film was filmed. I liked all the actors. I liked the story. It was just overall a very solid movie. I'm putting this one at the bottom of A. Catch Me If You Can, a very well movie by Steven Spielberg that is just shot very well. It's not shot very well, but like I liked all the colors and the Christmas vibes. The performances were really good from Tom Hanks and Leo. All of it was just overall really solid. I'm put this one in B. Mary Poppins. All right, so this was one that I was interested for quite some time because I didn't really know what to think of it. When I first saw it, I was like, I love the creativity of this. This was the film. I honestly got excited for it because, you know, back in March, I watched The Sound of Music with Julie Andrews. And to me, that's one of my favorite movies of this year that I saw of first-time watches. And we get Mary Poppins, and I had a hard time. Now, I will admit, this movie is brilliantly, like, the fact that it's, like, Julie Andrews' performance is phenomenal. She's great as Mary Poppins. I don't think anyone can steal this role from her. She's great. And honestly, the entire time I was thinking, I can't wait to get into the animated world, because I'm like, all this stuff in the human world is cool, and then when we get into the animated world, it's pretty cool, but then I'm like, oh, it's not that interesting, and then I feel like and then we're only in it for like, what, 10, 15 minutes? But then I realized the best part of the movie with the world is the real world. To where you go on rooftops and you see these like beautiful blue skies. Well, not blue skies, but very dark blue skies. And it's very cool as it's like, it almost gives like a 6 p.m. vibe. Like 6 p.m. at night and people are dancing on the roof. And all the dancing scenes in here are great. I love Dick Van Dyke in here. And I liked just seeing this person as it's a movie about a perfect person with Mary Poppins. And, yeah, so I'm probably going to rank this. I'm going to have to put it in B at the bottom, though. I can't rank it too high. We then have Gone with the Wind. Yeah, this was a very good movie. But it was incredibly long, bro. It was kind of hard for me to get through it at times. I'm putting this one in B as well. Alright, so now we get to some of the other normal movies with The Working Man. So this was another action movie with Jason Statham. Same guy that did The Beekeeper, David Ayer. I thought this was actually a better movie than The Beekeeper because it actually had a pretty good story to where it was kind of emotional, and it's not just bombarding you with great action, even though it actually does deliver some pretty good action. I'm going to put this one at the bottom of B. Brothers. Brothers was also a pretty great experience. Tobey Maguire, Jake Gyllenhaal, awesome. And of course, you know, I really came here for the kitchen sequence. That was great. Casablanca. A movie that I had a hard time trying to get into because, like, it was, exploring this love story during World War II and people from France and all this stuff. Found a little bit interesting, but it was just kind of long. It was only an hour and 30 minutes, but I thought it was really good, though. It was still good. The Accountant 2, very entertaining, very well done. Liked the action, liked our co-stars. Very, very good. Tropic Thunder. This was a movie I was eager to check out because I'm like, this just sounds like such an interesting concept for a movie. Because I'm like, so what you basically have here is actors. You have Robert Downey Jr. playing a black man, plus Ben Stiller, plus all these other actors and stuff. I'm like, this movie's insane. I honestly loved it. Schindler's List. a very long movie to get through, but the last 15 minutes do make up for it. It is a very powerful movie. And maybe I'll get it once I get older, once I watch it when I'm older, but that's all I'm going to say for now. George of the Jungle. I'm just going to put them straight up in B tier because they're very silly, they're fun, and I also watch them because they reminded me of David Corenswet, as you guys heard about in the video before. 12 Angry Men and Citizen Kane. We're going to speed through some of these movies because I don't really have too many thoughts. 12 Angry Men and Citizen Kane, you know, they're very beloved movies, but not for me, they aren't. I still respect them though, which is why I'll put them in B. Zodiac, another pretty good movie. Put this one in B. The Peanut Butter Falcon. Now, this is actually a movie that I had a hard time kind of being interested in because, on one hand, the movie tells a very good story about this kid who has Down syndrome, and you kind of see this man like get a brotherhood with this guy, and you also have these guys after this one guy. I think all these things played really well together, but I kind of wish the story was... I wish that the thing was a bit longer. And that never really had time to breathe. So, I still thought it was very good, but I don't think it could have reached its full potential. B. Then we have Eternal Sunshine of... What just... Hold up. I'm so sorry. Let me see what that was real quick. Alright, my bad, guys. Little bookcase just fell. Or let me fix that real quick. Anyway, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, another B tier film. And now we're taking a break from the A and B's and talking about other normal movies with Sniper: The Last Stand. Solid action movie. Never seen any of the other Sniper movies. The fact that this is the 11th movie, I'm putting this one in C. I believe this is the original Mummy. Or, no, this is The Mummy Returns. I'm putting this one in the C category. So, yeah. Commando. Another entertaining film. The How to Train Your Dragon remake. A film I missed back in June. But to be honest, I had zero expectations going into this movie. Mainly because I wasn't all that interested in it, you know. I really do like the How to Train Your Dragon movies from DreamWorks. From the animated films. But I'm not nostalgic for them like I am for Shrek or Kung Fu Panda. But surprisingly, this DreamWorks remake actually did pretty solid. It's like you kind of felt the tension a little bit more when it came to certain stuff, when it came to flying dragons and, you know, Tooth and like Hiccup's leg and stuff. It kind of felt a little bit better. Even Gerard Butler's character, Stoic, felt a little bit interesting too. I like the way they brought him back to this film and play him again. That was really cool. So I'll put this one in C. Top of C. We then have Slither. This is actually the only James Gunn movie I never watched, and very much enjoyed it. Very much enjoyed it. I'm gonna put this one in the C category. Death of a Unicorn, pretty entertaining. Oh, damn, we're already in the C's already? Okay, that's interesting. Black Bag. I'm gonna put this one in the C. Yeah. A Star is Born in the Judy Garland one. Sorry, I forgot her name real quick. I'll put this one here. The Rule of Jenny Penn. I thought this was cool. The original Happy Gilmore. Thought it was fine. Final Destination Bloodlines. Diablo. Solid little action movie. The Fountain of Youth. Elio. So this is the newest Pixar movie. I thought it was fine, to be honest with you. I'm putting this one at the bottom of... Actually, I'll put this one... I'll put it here. Argo. Argo was pretty good. It was kind of long, but it was kind of good. Oh no, this is Final Destination 5. Putting this one in B. Well, actually, I'm switching this year. Fight or Flight. Solid action movie. Dangerous Animals. Mank. To be honest, I was kind of bored watching this. F1. Superman Returns. My Dead Friend Zoe. 28 years later. Karate Kid Legends. Blonde. They tried telling an interesting story with it, but wasn't interested, to be honest. Breakfast at Tiffany's. Solid, I guess. There Will Be Blood. To be honest, I was bored through it. Sunset Boulevard. Thought it was pretty good. Queen of the Ring. Very interesting movie. Very interesting. Oh yeah, this is, I guess, the original Mummy. Or, yeah. The King of Kings. Not really crazy about the animation style, but the ending song is kind of nostalgic. It's very nostalgic. Broke. Solid movie. Then we are on to our last two with The Wolf of Wall Street. I thought this was great. If you can't see it, hold up. Wolf of Wall Street and The Life of Chuck. I'm going to just put Life of Chuck up on the C category. Where would it be? I'll put it here. And then as for the Wolf of Wall Street, I'm putting this one in the A tier as well. As to where it's going to go, though, I'm going to put it... I'm putting it here. It's a very good movie for me. So that is pretty much my list of all the film. That's my list of all the films that I saw in July of 2025. First time watches. I guess that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next video. See y'all tomorrow. Oh wait, actually, hold up before I end the stream. I do gotta talk about some stuff. So, number one, this will be my last week of summer vacation. I go back Monday, not August 4th, August 11th. So, keep that in mind. Also, I am currently gonna, I think either tonight or tomorrow, I will be creating my summer list. So, either Saturday or Sunday of this week, you're getting my summer list. I probably won't be doing the whole list, but I don't know if I'll be doing it on a tier list, mainly because it's a big job. But I also have another big another big tier list that I'm doing this week, and I don't know if I could fit two. So, and honestly, I'm really more passionate about that, but I can still create the letterbox list. That is something I can do. I will do that, and I have to do that. The tier list, it's kind of optional. It's only for my making, to be honest. So let me know what you guys think, and I'll keep talking about it. I think I'm probably just gonna do my top 10 favorite movies of the summer and give you my most anticipated in the same video. But the big video I have planned for y'all is gonna be on Wednesday, so stay tuned. But if you guys want to see my summer movie list as it's being updated, it'll be sometime around tomorrow. So stay tuned. Bye bye.